Hey everybody, welcome to Geekoholics Anonymous episode 160, your E3 Super Spectacular episode part 1.
Extravaganza! You missed the extravaganza!
Yeah, it's your host Rico here with my co-host.
It's an extravaganza! Dane Cody.
Extravagant Cody.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Welcome. If you've never been here before, we get together once a week, talk about video games, TV, movies, and or whatever the hell we like. We are running a few days late. Sorry, everyone. It's been an insane week with obviously being on the show floor, late nights, and just tons of crazy crap happening around here.
Oh yeah, and if you haven't noticed, it's all been his fault.
Yeah, it's all my fault. And I'm still in LA right now. Going to be heading home this evening. And I think what we're going to do is, for this episode, we're just going to give some impressions of the press conferences, though they seem like an eternity ago now.
Even though they were only a couple of days ago.
And then I'll maybe start talking about some of the dozens of games I've played. And then obviously we'll pick up with next week's episode and the one after that, because I think we're going to have a good few weeks of content to talk about.
Fair enough.
So, welcome anyone who's new to the show that happened to meet me at E3 and got one of my cards. I was everywhere. I was in lineups or waiting. I was chatting to random gamers and saying, hey, well, check out my show. So we might have some new listeners today. So welcome for tuning in and checking us out.
Sweet.
So let's get to it.
We love all of our listeners.
Yes, we do. EA kicked things off last week on Saturday, the EA Play event. I was still in Canada as you were.
Sure.
I was half watching it on my cell phone while preparing for a 2-year-old birthday party.
That sounds like fun.
So I watched it, didn't watch it. I didn't intently watch it, sitting at my computer or TV. But I did see all the stuff that was announced and got a good vibe for the press conference. And
right.
To be honest, I wasn't very impressed. It was your typical EA press conference, just doling out all the, checkbox stock market investor meeting type stuff they have to do. New FIFA, new Madden, new this, new, the no surprises. They did show Unravel 2, which we knew was coming as well. But I guess a little surprise was that it released immediately after the show wrapped up. There was a Command & Conquer mobile game, which I'm pretty sure Command & Conquer fans were not very happy about.
Rivals, man. Command & Conquer Rivals, which is now out in beta on Android, if you're interested.
So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that probably pissed some hardcore people off. They had a new IP, Sea of Solitude. I didn't get a chance to pay enough attention to that section, but some people seem to be really excited for that. I don't know. Overall, it seemed like a really kind of boring press conference with their awkward celebrity and sports stars coming out and yapping and having awkward conversations with pro gamers on stage. That was really painful.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I also noticed they didn't really seem like they had anything new to really show in their conference. It was kind of all outside of what we've
I guess
mentioned.
The new IPs were but they were more like indie games, not AAA unknown announcements. And we did get a big Anthem demo.
I guess that was kind of cool, but even that felt weird. Like it was this video that they looped, and then we saw it, and then they had people come out, and then they were doing a QA session that just felt really awkward. I don't know why they didn't just have a 15 or 20 minute game like gameplay, and then take questions while they were playing or something. Like it felt weird.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing either. I don't know, I kind of think people are over, well, especially gamers, which are more critical about the presentations. We complain when we get berated with 100 new trailers in a row. And then we're like, oh, well, there's no point for a press conference. But at the same time, when we have announcers and, gameplay demos with people on stage, everyone complains about, how awkward it was or how bad it was. So I don't know. I think EA needs to dial it back and kind of start just doing the gameplay reveals with just less on-stage presence. Just tighten up their show a little bit.
That, and like keep your shoutcasters away, keep the quasi celebrities out.
It's
I don't know.
It's terrible when they have athletes. There's never been a good segment with athletes or celebrities ever.
Yeah,
I can't recall one where anyone was like, "That was actually cool."
I mean, everybody kind of laughed at Terry Crews last year when he was in Crackdown 3, but that's kind of about it.
I don't know. I think getting celebrities on stage only serves for the executives and PR people or marketing people that are like, that was so cool. We got to meet him and he came on our stage. But then gamers are just totally turned off by that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, one thing that was kind of interesting that I will say that I do want to touch on with EA at least was their EA Origin Access, where they were talking about their premium service, which it sounds like they're doing something similar like GeForce Now, which they're looking into a streaming service that will launch later on this summer that essentially allows you to play your games and have them streamed from the cloud. Which, if it's anything like GeForce Now, that might be really cool. But what I don't like is that if everybody does this, I'm going to have to subscribe to 12 different stupid services in order to get the whole breadth of my games to be able to do this. Like, that's the problem with EA doing this. Like, it's great, but it's predominantly EA games. Like, yes, I know that you can go on Origin and like, there is a few other publishers that have their games on there. But for the most part, like 80% of that store is EA stuff. And now if like they're doing a streaming service, like that's cool. But like, am I going to need to pay for a streaming service from them? And am I going to need to pay for a streaming service from Nvidia? Am I going to need to pay for one from like, you know what I mean? Like that's
that way that down the line here, we're going to be making choices because the unified platform is not going to happen.
No, I mean, and then essentially, if that's the case, like you have a PC, but which you think would be kind of unified, but the way that they're doing all this, they're sort of segmenting it up in an awkward way. I mean, we did, I guess, get a little. I was amazed that this was all we got. Like I was.
Yeah, I felt like it was a little
surprised.
light on content.
Well, and they had Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from Respawn, and like all they did was talked to the head of Respawn Entertainment, and all he gave was, this is the name of the game. Like, are you kidding me? It's been 3 years since they announced that.
It was winter next year.
Yeah, he said it was like
confused me when he said that. I'm like, okay, so we're gonna get a trailer. Because how?
I know. I thought he was gonna give the name, and then they were gonna at least like show a little teaser trailer or something.
Like.
But instead, just nothing. It was this awkward conversation between him and the presenter. He gave the name, and then that was pretty much it.
So I'm going to call it.
It was just like
right now, because they didn't show a trailer. That game's not coming out next winter.
You think so? That, or are you thinking they're like gonna try and hold off until like the fall or something?
They're gonna do
show it at like Gamescom or
they're gonna do a Fallout 4 next E3, show it, and then release it within 5-6 months.
I don't know. It's odd.
I was
to me
disappointed in that. I was really expecting to get to see that.
I mean, I actually overall, I know we're a little bit off the rails here, but overall, I was actually really surprised with a couple of publishers and a couple of games, and not even so much games that I knew were going to be there, but just studios that I figured for sure we have to have learned something about a game they're building. Like, for example, Rocksteady.
Did you see their apology?
I was amazed.
On Twitter?
Like nothing.
Did you
like
see
absolutely nothing?
Did you see their apology on Twitter?
No, I didn't.
They did a big well, it might have been on all their social media. I just saw it on Twitter. They did a big social media post basically saying, though we're super excited for all your fans, you know, excitement for our next game. Trust us, we're working really hard, and when we're ready, we will reveal it. They kind of apologized that they weren't there to reveal it, but they ensured that what they're working on is gonna be awesome, and their fans are gonna be super happy. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised there was nothing from them. Obviously, everybody I think expected the next Mortal Kombat to show up, but it didn't
show up either.
You know, like there's some couple really big things that I was surprised weren't there. Like I thought, it's funny. I didn't think like when they only showed a logo for Metroid 4 last year.
That we would get,
and people were like, "Oh yeah, we'll definitely see something this year." And I was like, "I don't think so." Like all they showed off was a logo last year. I doubt we're gonna see anything this year.
Got nothing.
But then, of course, listening to all the podcasts and stuff, people were like, "Oh man, we're definitely gonna see something from like Metroid." And it got to the point where I thought, "Okay, well, shit, maybe we will." And then like they barely even mentioned it. Like, yes, we know it's still coming, but that was it. Like, so. Yeah, it was interesting. Like just some of the stuff that, and I mean, obviously, like there'd been talk of possibly a Splinter Cell in the works that, you know, I think everybody kind of thought like that was gonna get announced, which didn't. And again, that was only a rumor. So I mean, you're rumors happen all the time.
You're jumping ahead.
I know,
jumping all over the place.
I was, like I said, I was just talking about the stuff that I was surprised.
Yeah, no, there was a few
kind of missed.
That seemed like
show,
a lock,
you know,
especially with the DLC for Wildlands.
Right. It seemed like a really smart kind of thing, and it was kind of one of the things that hadn't been sort of leaked beforehand. Like I kind of thought maybe we'd even just get like a little, you know, a little blurb about him and maybe a shot of Sam Fisher or something, and just kind of like a tease, you know what I mean? Just like, yes, it is in the works, it's coming, almost as like a way to end the Ubisoft like press conference or something. But not to say that they didn't have a good show, it's just it was a bit of a surprise, that's all.
So EA's show, meh. Not what anyone was.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 DLC. That was about really the only other thing they talked about.
Not anything anyone wasn't already expecting. So,
and you didn't get a chance to play Anthem, did you?
No, I tried really damn hard.
That was like the one thing that you didn't sort of get a chance to check out.
Anthem and Last of Us 2 were super behind closed doors.
Interesting.
And yeah, like I got into the Sony's press media area, and the way they do it is they have like a big lounge with the majority of all their games available to play.
Yep.
And there's like interview / closed meeting rooms on the sides of that big room. And I saw that Ghost of Tsushima was in one of them. And I didn't see Last of Us, but I've seen photos of people in behind the scenes, so I assume it was in one of those rooms as well. But those demos are much smaller scale. Like there's like one TV, usually a presenter, and maybe you get to try it. Almost like kind of the only people who play that are like E3 judges,
IGN and GameSpot, and the big guys.
Like so with Anthem,
if your name's not Jeff Gertzman, then you're not going to get to play.
Yeah, we're like Anthem, for example, was in the NVIDIA booth. It might have been somewhere else,
right?
Well, NVIDIA didn't.
I heard about that because of course they had their whole EA Play thing where that was like off-site in another location.
So at the EA Play event, there was, I think they had extended gameplay demos for fans in small theater type setting, and some press got to play it there.
Yeah, I was listening to Giant Bomb. Alex Navarro got to play it. He was talking about it.
And then at NVIDIA, they had a room there, which was, I think, where people were getting like the super hands-on.
Interesting.
And I tried really hard to get in that room. And that wasn't in the show floor. That was in NVIDIA's like meeting room area. And I tried.
Right. But I'm assuming that was like if you had to have a previous appointment.
Yeah,
kind of
I had
thing.
an appointment with NVIDIA. So then it's just like, I got to see all their stuff there, which I'll talk about eventually at some point. And then it's like, in this other room, oh, there's Anthem right there. I'm watching people play it in front of me. I want to play it.
And you're like, I want to play Anthem. And they're like, oh, sorry, that's a separate.
Yeah, it was, because it was
you had to have a separate appointment
It was
for that?
handled by EA, and it was a separate appointment. And it was totally booked. And I'm like, well, can you put me on the list? If someone cancels, I'll drop whatever I'm at. If you guys text me, and I'll be right here.
And they're like, sorry.
Yeah, it didn't work out, but I still had fun at NVIDIA. That was a worthwhile appointment. But
awesome.
So Microsoft, in my opinion, I think they had the best press conference.
I agree, actually. I do. It's funny because I think that I will end up playing more of the games that Sony announced, but I thought from a press conference standpoint, Microsoft did a great job.
They were just firing on all cylinders. Like they revealed,
and they had the guys just they had a little bit of a stage presence, which was great.
Yeah, it just Phil Spencer, and he carries himself well. Like, I don't mind him talking.
Totally. Yeah,
he's never,
and it felt sincere too. It was like, hey, we're going to show you 50 games, some of which are going to be exclusive, some of which are going to just be first time you've ever seen the trailer. But we're going to show you these are 50 games that are coming out on, the Xbox platform at some point between now and in the future. Which was
great. Yeah. Like, the only downside I would say I thought their press conference was awesome. It was tight. Like you said, tons of games. Easily, I think the best one of the year out of all of them. I have a couple negatives. Unfortunately, the majority of those games are also available on Sony. So some people are calling them
quite a few. I think they did have, what did they say, 18 platform exclusives?
Yeah, so some people were calling the Xbox press conference the Sony press conference mini.
Right.
I wasn't very impressed by the 5 studio announcements, though it's something they need to do. A lot of people were like blown away, like, this is going to change everything. I'm like, no, not really.
Yeah,
like most of those studios have only been doing Xbox stuff. I guess Ninja Theory is probably the biggie, because Ninja Theory is quite capable, and they've always been independent. So maybe actually being under Microsoft Game Studios, they might be able to make that super AAA title that they kind of just seem like they've been building up to.
Yeah,
but that's going to take another 3 or 4 years for the fruits of that labor to pay off, right?
Oh, for sure.
It was good news.
That's a long ways off.
It was absolutely good news. Them getting more studios, that empowers all their studios as a whole. So, like, that's what they needed to do, and they did it, right?
I get frustrated though, because like all publishers do this, it seems like, but they have these incredible studios and they shut them down. And then 2 years later, they buy other studios because they need studios to build games. And it's like, I look at Microsoft and like, they had a bunch of studios that they recently laid off a whole bunch of people and like closed the studio down. And now they're out there like saying like, oh yeah, we bought these 5 studios because we need people to build games for us.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the fuck? Why? Like I get why you're doing it, but like, why the fuck do you guys keep closing studios down? Like, that's, I think, where I get most frustrated with all of this stuff. It's got to be incredibly expensive to launch a studio. And even if you buy one, it's got to be incredibly expensive to have them either pivot into no longer making a PS4 version of that game or, whatever, and just onboard all those people and like just the amount of work that's got to be involved in all that. Like, you'd think that it would be better off to keep a studio that you've got And if you need to hire and fire, then hire and fire. But like, at least it's already there. It's already set up. You've got buildings. You've got like, it's a little bit strange to me.
Yeah.
You know, and like, obviously I don't know all the details of like what they had going on with like, say, Scalebound, for example, which is obviously a game that they canceled. But like, I gotta look at it and I gotta go like, was it really in their best interest to just scrap that whole thing at this point? Like, and again, I don't know what was happening on the back end.
I thought it would have been a better move to just keep that game regardless of its quality, especially seeing how stuff like Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 have turned out. I think it would have been better to just have kept Scalebound regardless of quality.
Yeah, it was interesting. There was some interesting mentions in the Xbox conference as well, like Battletoads. Yeah. I don't feel that that's a game that we necessarily needed another one of.
No, but
personally,
it is like a big reveal, or it's a nostalgia,
kind of
a nostalgia grab.
Yeah, I guess you're right, for sure.
And it's a rare title, right? So,
is it? Is it actually?
Battletoads
are they working on it?
Battletoads was rare back in the day.
Interesting.
So it gives them something to do.
Right, besides Sea of Thieves.
I was really intrigued, which I didn't get more information on, was how he mentioned that they were also talking about take your gaming anywhere, whether it be the TV, your tablet, or your phone. But there wasn't any more information.
They were talking about streaming. Is they were working? They flat out said they're working on streaming.
Yeah, they already do it, right? You can do your Xbox,
in-home,
your PC. So I'm intrigued by being able to stream my Windows stuff or my Xbox stuff to like my phone. That's it.
Yeah,
that's a feature that I don't know. I take advantage of remote play. We've talked about it multiple times.
Oh, for sure.
So that was cool.
Definitely.
I think it was a mistake to mention that they're already working on the next Xbox.
I
thought that was kind of strange. I feel like for people who just bought an Xbox One X, might be like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah. What I thought that was strange about this year is that this year E3 overall felt like a strange transitional year, and yet nobody was transitioning yet.
Yeah.
But there was already mention, like Microsoft mentioned, yes, we're working on a new Xbox. It's still several years away, but we're working on it. And yet you have Bethesda in their press conference literally announcing 2 games that are that they flat out said are coming to next gen consoles.
Yeah.
Like they flat out said, was it Skyfall or Starfall or whatever? That game is, they flat out said that is coming to next gen consoles, and they specified after that Elder Scrolls 6 isn't coming till after that game. So if that game is already coming to next gen consoles, then clearly Elder Scrolls 6 is only coming to next gen.
I'm pretty sure those games will come out for the current consoles. Considering that Skyrim is on everything. Like, I think it's on toasters now. That I'm pretty sure the versions of those games will be on the existing Xbox, PlayStation platforms. Though, they'll probably, like you said, be showcases for the next consoles.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, will they, like, obviously, yes, like, we joke about Skyrim being on everything, but we also have to remember that Skyrim came out significantly earlier in our life cycle.
Bethesda even joked about Skyrim being on everything.
That was pretty awesome.
Pretty good. So obviously we're talking about Bethesda now. I thought they had a pretty good press conference. They showed gameplay for all the stuff. They made me win a bet, which is going to get me a nice Five Guys meal on our way down to PAX.
Yeah.
Doom Infinite, sequel to Doom. It's Infinite, right?
No, you're thinking of Halo Infinite.
What was it?
It's
Doom Eternal. That's it.
Doom Eternal, yeah.
Which is sweet.
Yeah. I thought it was I thought that the pacing and stuff of the actual conference itself was pretty good. For whatever reason, I don't know why, not many of those games spoke to me, really. Like, Fallout 76 looks like a game I really don't care about.
Yeah.
Which is, I wasn't a huge Fallout 3 and 4 fan already, and then when they explained what that game was actually going to be, I got less and less interested the more they talked about it.
I'm pretty excited for all the stuff they talked about, honestly.
Yeah. It's funny, like I said, I thought their conference was pretty good, but excuse me, but from a perspective of like looking at for myself personally, like I will probably play Doom Eternal because the last Doom was dope. The Elder Scrolls Blades, not really something I'm probably ever going to play because I don't want to play a shitty Elder Scrolls game on my phone. Elder Scrolls Legends, again, digital card game, no thanks. Elder Scrolls 6, that's like, we're talking years away. That's like, we're talking probably between 4 and 6 years probably for that. Like, that's a long, long ways away.
Yeah.
Fallout 76, again, initially kind of interesting. Then the more they talked about it, and the more they explained what that game is, and it's going to be online only, and it's going to be playing with people, and people are assholes and everything else. I just like became less and less interested
awesome.
the more I heard of it. Fallout Shelter coming to Switch and PS4.
Yeah,
don't really care if I wanted to play that.
Might even said that it was gonna, or did we talk about? Maybe we did talk about that, but it leaked a couple days before the press conference, and that seemed like an obvious that it was going to release day and date. Yeah,
I mean, and it makes sense. The game's been out for a while. Yeah. But if I wanted to play that, I'd play it on my phone. Like
I actually downloaded it before I left on my trip to E3. Played it a little bit on the plane,
right?
Which is fine. I feel like it.
Yep.
Honestly, I feel like it controls better on a mobile device than it does, because it's kind of weird going from the touchscreen to the controller. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm sure once you get used to it, it's probably really intuitive, but it just didn't seem.
Yeah, and then they announced some Prey DLC, which
that looked really cool.
That's a game that I didn't really play.
That DLC looked so cool that I feel like that's a huge glaring title that I've missed that I should go back to.
Yeah. Quake Champions, I mean, they talked about it. Quake Champions is free if you download it this week. Champions. I don't know if that's what I want, though.
When we were having dinner at... we went out for Korean barbecue a couple nights ago, and this guy sitting across from the table of us, he was like super... Like, he thinks Quake Champions is awesome. He says it's like the future. Like, he's so in love with it. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, no, it's really? Yeah, he said it's really good.
How old is he? Did he play the original ones back in the day?
That old. He's like younger than me.
That's probably why. Because he never experienced the Twitch shooting era that we grew up in.
Yeah, so he loves it. Like he's not used. Yeah, exactly.
So, like, that's the thing that I think is interesting with all of that.
To me, I just miss it. And I'm like, ugh, I'm so over Twitch shooters.
I feel like there's gonna be a resurgence in Twitch shooters. And I mean, I think that obviously that's what Cliffy B tried to do with his last game that failed. But I don't think the world is quite there yet. There isn't enough nostalgia for it because we've had too many since. But give it another 5, maybe 6 years, I think you're going to have enough people that didn't grow up with them that are going to sort of find them for the... I say first time loosely, but they're going to find them and be like, oh my God, this is great. And we'll have a huge resurgence of them again. Just like everything in gaming is cyclical. That'll happen again. But I don't think we're quite there yet. And I don't think that Quake Champions, I think it's going to be a little bit too early still.
Yeah.
But hey, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
Couple VR games are coming too as well. So they're definitely
Wolfenstein gets a standalone VR game.
Not giving up on the VR support train, so that's good. So it must mean that Fallout and the existing Doom have paid some dividends. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, Rage 2 looks cool.
I played Rage 2.
Okay, sweet.
I didn't get to do any vehicle combat. They kind of let you play through the section, I think, that the reveal trailer ends at. The satellite base.
Right.
I don't know what to say about it. It seems like a competent first-person shooter. You've got different abilities and power-ups. Like, you've got this charge. You launch yourself in the air and do, like, a big ground slam. You can do, like, this big, I don't know, it's like an energy wave kind of bash forward. You got to play with the boomerang thing a little bit. Just the guns felt really good and solid, I will say. Like the shotgun was just felt like it hit like a truck. The machine guns,
that's good.
Really felt very powerful. Like the recoil and the effect. I don't know. The game it felt solid. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is amazing, something I've never seen before. It kind of felt like a little bit of with the abilities. I don't know, I just felt like kind of like it was like Crysis a little bit. And they had these like different abilities you can do. The weapons, like I said, felt great and it looked fantastic. It's going to do well. I really would have liked to have seen the vehicle combat, and like we couldn't go on the map, and we couldn't really see any of the other like questing type systems. It was like essentially just like, here's a typical gameplay, chunk of a story mission. But yeah,
I'm trying to remember. Did they give a when that game's coming out?
I believe it.
Did they give a release date for Rage? Oh, it's coming spring 2019.
Yeah, it was next year. The biggest disappointment of Bethesda's booth is like Fallout 76 wasn't playable, which really surprised me.
Because it's coming out.
Yeah, it's coming out in November. They had like a Fallout experience, like you experienced like Vault Life. People were lining up. Like, it was like the biggest lineup to not play any games, which was kind of weird. They did do a good system of like you check in and you get like a Disney Fast Pass type kind of system for all their demos. Like that's kind of how we played Rage. We were just walking by and it's like literally, you want to play? Yeah, sure. Okay. We have these times available, and we just picked the time and came back.
Right.
They did have their VR games on demo, but those like within half an hour they were capped for the day.
Yeah.
But the problem is they only had like one unit for each of the games.
That amazes me when you're setting up at a thing like that where
I don't know. VR is just hard, and the setup takes way too long, and then you get people who've never used it. So obviously, it's really hard to get that going. But overall, I was entertained by their press conference. To be honest, there was no surprises, and like you said, I wasn't too happy about the teases. Like, I would have rather them not said anything about Starfield or Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah,
because they seem like they're so far off. I would have rather them if they were going to show them like, boom, here.
Here's more than just a flyover of what might not ever be the final. But game.
Now it's like, okay, well, now we know they're coming, so you already ruined the surprise. But the surprise is a surprise. You got to wait even longer.
Yeah. Obviously, we got a sequel to Wolfenstein Youngblood. That's coming out next year. That was kind of cool. But yeah, that was kind of their conference.
It wasn't bad. It kept rolling. They have really good stage presence, all those guys.
Yeah, Todd Howard did a great job.
The only awkward part was the prey part, but whatever. The game looked cool. That DLC seems like a neat concept. That was kind of cool. I didn't see the Squaresoft one. Did you? Apparently, Kotaku,
I didn't watch it.
Kotaku posted a story and it was just like
real bad.
They just straight up called it a joke.
Yeah, it was.
I guess it was bad.
So that was the thing, is that they had this press conference, and they did not announce or show off a single game that was. Oh, sorry. They showed off one game that they didn't already show off at somebody else's press conference. So they showed off the Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, which we'd already seen at the Xbox conference. They showed off Dragon Quest 11, which we already knew was coming. We've already seen trailers. We've already seen gameplay footage. They looked at Final Fantasy 14, an update to that game, which apparently is still trucking along and still doing stuff.
A big part of their booth was Final Fantasy 14, and the lineup was huge.
Yeah. They showed off Just Cause 4, some more of that.
Which we knew was coming.
But that was already a game that was announced or showed off.
I had the opportunity to play it, but something else came up, and I'm like, it's a known quantity. Like, you got a 4 in your title. Like, I'm like, I'm going to go to this other thing that's new.
Yeah. I mean, Just Cause 4 builds incredible sandboxes. I'm kind of really...
It looks cool. I think I might actually have to play it now.
Yeah. And then they showed off Kingdom Hearts 3, which, again, good lord, it felt like every single person at E3 everywhere. Had Kingdom Hearts 3 on their stage. Like, it was so ridiculous. It was
at Sony and Microsoft, right?
No, and it was in both of their press conferences. It was ridiculous. Like, honestly, 3. Is there that much? Is there that many people that excited about it?
I played Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah. They showed off more Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which, again, we'd already seen at the Microsoft press conference.
Actually, I played Shadow of the Tomb Raider on PC and on something else I can't talk about.
Cool. And then they showed off The Quiet Man, which was a first brand new IP, and that was their first actual game that has, it was new. Like that was literally the one thing in their press conference that was actually new, where you play a guy that's mute, and they did it in a weird way where like it had this gameplay video though, and it was like real, it was like full motion, and then it like kind of turned into the game. Like it was, so they showed it off and they made it look like it was going to be an FMV game, and then they of course came out later and said no, it's all digital, it's not FMV. Like it looks cool. It kind of looks like a John Wick kind of, like it looks interesting, but it was the way they revealed it was kind of weird. So overall, their whole thing was just, it was strange.
And then they teased that Babylon's Fall, which is Platinum's new game, which looks like Platinum Dark Souls.
Yeah.
It was. I didn't catch that. I was flying when that happened. I'll talk about Tomb Raider and Kingdom Hearts when I get into gameplay stuff, because I played a lot of games, because I have stuff to say about them. But let's keep moving along.
For sure.
Ubisoft, did you manage to catch it?
I didn't watch it. Obviously, I caught the highlights. I know a lot of people were saying like it was an incredible press conference, and I might actually still watch it.
I have to,
just because I heard it was really good.
I was invited to it. I was pretty upset that I missed it because my flight got in too late. I was hoping to be there. Obviously, they announced Odyssey, Trials Rising,
Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
We already knew about Starlink last year, which I saw last year and couldn't play. This year I had a playable demo. I'll talk about that later. But big surprise there was the Star Fox announcement, which was pretty cool. That's going to sell a bajillion copies.
Oh, for sure. On the Switch, you mean?
Division 2, looks fantastic. I also played that.
Yeah.
8-person raids was, I guess, one of the bigger announcements out of that. Obviously, with a lot of, there's new abilities, new, obviously, interface systems, so forth. Stuff you'd expect with a sequel for, like, The Division.
I was disappointed that they only showed off a freaking theatrical trailer of Beyond Good and Evil 2 again.
It was there.
which I know that they were showing gameplay to people behind closed doors.
I unfortunately did not get to see that. Again, it was one of those smaller session demos where I think it was like maybe one, like a handful of outlets at a time. Now, did you hear if anyone actually got to play it or they had guided?
No, it wasn't. They themselves were not playing
so
it.
they got like,
but they were watching the devs actually. Yeah,
kind of like the Cyberpunk.
But they were actually, but I mean, at least you're getting to see what that gameplay looks like.
That's dope.
And from what I'm hearing, it sounds virtually nothing like the first game.
That's not surprising.
That'll be interesting.
Well, how long ago was the old game?
Yeah, quite a while ago, because that wasn't it a PS2 game that then got up-resed for PS3?
Did you watch get out of here. Okay, my laptop's being weird. Never mind. Did you watch the Sony press conference? Okay.
I did.
Actually, I jumped ahead here. Ubisoft press conference.
Good job.
Was great. It was fantastic. It was a good press conference.
They also announced For Honor, if you can pick up the starter edition for free on Uplay right now for a limited time, which gets you essentially the whole game and 3 starting characters for free right now.
Okay, I missed that.
And you can unlock the rest of the starting characters while you play the game, using in-game currency, etc., which is pretty cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of people who are pretty stoked for Honor. They had a huge lineup at their booth.
Skull and Bones looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like I want to see more of that game. Like I'm wondering like how much of that game is when you get out of your pirate ship, because they did show a little bit of that in the trailer.
They did.
Yeah, so essentially they did show off like your character running around, being a pirate on land, but I'm wondering like how much of that game is like that and how much of that game is literally just cruising around destroying other pirates. Because I'm not gonna lie, if they kind of turned it into not necessarily an Assassin's Creed pirate game, because they already did that, but if they managed to take kind of that same or a similar formula, make some tweaks to it and release a full-on pirate game that but fleshed it out more of the pirate stuff and less of the assassinating stuff, I think that would be really dope. But if it's more like heavily like the ship combat, I'm not sure if that's gonna be as interesting to me. But at least it kind of made me go like, this might be really interesting.
I didn't get to play any of that out of ship stuff. I did.
I'm not surprised. It didn't look like they were.
I don't remember what they called the mode. I'll talk about it when we get in. I think we'll just kind of glance over these press
hunting grounds mode.
Yeah, I think we'll glance over these press conferences, and then I'll talk about a few things. This will be a mini E3 prepper part 1, because I almost have 30 games to talk about, which would be 3 hours. But yeah, I also played that as well. I played all the Ubisoft stuff except for Beyond Good and Evil and Trials.
Right.
As well, I didn't play that either. But yeah, they had a great press conference. Everyone seemed super hyped. Sucks that I missed it because they were giving away hats and cool little tchotchkes, and I could use a new hat. Not that I really care or need that stuff, but I did get speaking of Ubisoft, I did get that. Did you see any? You guys probably saw a photo of me wearing the Spartan helmet.
Yeah,
they're giving away this cool Spartan helmet for Assassin's Creed, which I think that was the swag of show. Next to the Cyberpunk statue. It is pretty cool. It's a cool helmet. It's so stupid. I took a bunch of selfies with it. When I get back home and I'm going to upload all my photos, I take hundreds of photos.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, so you saw the Sony press conference. I was in the front row at the Sony press conference.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, you were saying, did I show up on the stream a couple times or just once?
Yeah, you showed up a couple of times.
I'm definitely going to have to go back and watch this. So,
I won't lie, that from an outsider's perspective, that was the most disjointed and bizarre press conference that I think Sony's, well, maybe anybody's ever done at E3. Like, it felt so weird. And not only because, okay, so they started it off with The Last of Us 2 trailer.
Yeah.
Then they stopped and had this like 15-minute intermission.
Were they showing trailers during that period or making announcements?
That's the thing, where they kicked back to a sort of a they kicked back to like two people talking about it. So they talked about, like, they kicked back to a couple reporters.
Okay, was it the Blogcast guys?
Yeah, but then of course they kicked off other trailers that we got to watch in between,
so we didn't get to
while
see
this was happening.
Any of that stuff.
Right. But this is the weird thing.
Well, you think that's weird? Just wait until you hear what I have to say.
So on top of all of that, the Sony stream, like I was watching on Twitch, the Sony stream shit the bed. It just completely fucked up. So like halfway through their press conference, like I'm trying to remember, I think it was right around the beginning of the Ghost of Tsushima demo that they were showing off. All of a sudden it just like completely like shit the bed on Twitch. So then I went to the Twitch stream, like the Twitch feed of the actual stream instead of the Sony like stream. And I'd missed a bunch of stuff, but at least it was working. So there was also that part of this whole thing. And then the rest of it was kind of weird because, like, again, they showed some more videos. That's where I think the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer was at. And there was like, I'm trying to remember, did they show off? I can't remember all the stuff they showed off in between, but it was just, it felt so weird for somebody like that was watching from the outside, which I think really sucks. Like, I get what Sony was trying to do, but as somebody, at least from the outside, looking in on it, I just was like, dude, why didn't you just do a normal fucking press conference instead of this weird thing where we're going to try and like move people from one location to another because it feels cool or whatever. What worries me, I guess, when I saw this whole thing and when I watched it transpire and I saw their whole press conference, this felt like PlayStation 3 Sony. That they were like, we're the fucking on top. We got nobody's even close to us. We are destroying all of our competitors. And we can have like a press conference that kind of in a weird way is sort of like, we don't really give a shit about anybody watching. And we're going to try to make it cool for these people that are experiencing it, quote unquote. But ultimately, we don't really care.
Yeah.
And that's how it felt. Okay. And that's how it came across.
When I was there, they had like, obviously typical press conference thing. You go there, they have snacks and drinks and this and that as they're getting ready, right? Apparently, It was a smaller affair. It was really hard to get into. So luckily, I was able to get into it. Thank you, Sony Canada, and the people that hooked me up with getting into that. They're like, okay, we're getting ready to go in, and then they just jammed us in this little tight tunnel in the sun. People were upset.
Awesome. No kidding.
And then we went into the church, like from that Last of Us trailer. It had 3 rows of church pews and standing room only. And it was small, and everyone was like, what the hell? Like, people were yelling because there was someone coming on.
People don't like being shoved in tiny spaces.
Well, there was someone coming on the microphone, and they were like, please stand back. Everyone, there is room for everyone. Everyone will be able to see the show. And the guy's like, how? Everyone's in front of I can't see anything. And people were getting super angry. And I'm just like, this is bad. I'm like, I hope this is not it. And then someone on the side, one of the security guys, was like whispering to someone else. And he's like, oh, well, I overheard someone saying that we're going to get shuffled into another area. So I was like, oh, this is kind of like Disney Q kind of thing. I will say, I was sitting up front, so I didn't really have much to complain about. But I thought it was really cool. But if they had seating for everyone, it probably would have been a better experience for everyone. But I think that was a huge mistake. Ignoring that, like being in the front. It was pretty cool. They had it was the church. Once the trailer kicked in, you realized you were in that church that they were showing. So that was cool.
Yeah.
And like actually even before the trailer kicked off, they had the guy who does the music for the game, what's his name? Gustavo, I think it is. Like on the stream he was playing the banjo, right? That was really cool live because I love the music in The Last of Us. So that was it. That
actually, I don't think they bothered us.
But I don't
that.
think you could have really appreciated that over the stream, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, we did. They had that, and then they kicked off into the trailer, which was fantastic. Be it very violent. That was the hot thing people were complaining about because there's always going to be something people were complaining about. People were complaining about how violent that trailer was and how messed up it was.
It did feel a little bit like violent porn. Like it, I don't know. It was kind of weird, and the way they formatted that trailer felt a little strange. And I think that's kind of what people were getting on about. Like it was weird that the way it transitioned and the way like that whole sort of trailer went is more. I think what people
in at the press conference, people cheering when that guy got disemboweled. That was kind of messed up.
Yeah, that was,
or like Annie, or like when she was hacking the guy's head off. Like the place was going crazy. That's what I was talking about. Some people like it was one thing that was a super violent trailer for someone to digest at home, but like to have a crowd cheering at this like really grotesque violence was. Yeah, I do agree. It was kind of messed up, though. As a gamer at home, I definitely love it. But it was weird that like these were the crowd was going crazy for this. So yeah, like after that, they like filed us from that small room to another room, which was kind of cool. They actually built like as if we were in like a Japanese like temple walkway, and there was like waterfalls and flowers and leaves and stuff.
Yeah,
so it kind of felt like we were going to be going from room to room for the different games. But really,
right, and that's kind of what a lot of people thought,
and it was, but it was really only one transition from The Last of Us church to a more standard press conference, big giant curved screen experience with benches and everything, and that's where we saw the majority of all the trailers after that. So at first, everyone was really turned off. I think maybe it clicked into gear once it moved into that venue, maybe even from the viewership angle.
Yeah, I mean, it did, obviously, but even then, it felt like a weird press conference. It was weird. Like I said, it felt like PS3 Sony, and it felt bad.
It was weird.
Like it made me go, God, I hope they are not like. This is not what is Sony's doing again.
I didn't get a vibe of
getting all high and mighty on themselves.
I didn't get a vibe of old arrogance, but I think they were trying to do I think the church thing was cool, and they were trying to do like more of like a bring the story to life. But I think that failed online and only worked for the 3 rows of people in the front of this giant room. Had they done that right, that could
how many
have been
other people did it piss off though?
Like that was an amazing experience for a select few people, like me.
Right.
But the majority of people were pissed off and turned off by that. When it moved in the other venue, like I said, it was a typical press conference. I thought it was fine. I liked that they highlighted all 100% exclusive games for the most part, except for like obviously Kingdom Hearts and Resident Evil. But like they did a huge highlight on their titles. Like the Death Stranding demo was like, holy crap, this looks pretty awesome. Starting to kind of make sense of what maybe this game is about. The Ghost of Tsushima looks freaking cool.
Ghosts of Tsushima is the one that I think I'm most interested in.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty sweet.
My real question that I have with it, and this will kind of make or break, I think, my interest and really how I feel about that game, is going to be what that combat's like. It looked quite Dark Souls, and I'm hoping that's not the case.
Yeah, it looks like a third person, pretty standard combat, action adventure combat. But I think it has some systems. It looks like it has some kind of insta kill systems.
Yeah, which like I don't mind that. Like that sounds
when he takes
pretty cool, especially because it's like a
trailer,
samurai game, right? Yeah,
and like he takes him out one hit,
essentially disembowels them or whatever.
Yet the other guys take a bunch of hits. Again, people super cheering on when he like chopped the guy's arm off and some of that stuff.
Yeah, I don't really understand what people's desire is with the like anyways, that's a talk for another time.
Like the God of War stuff, like we didn't know about that stuff. The edition of Black Ops 3 on PlayStation Plus, we didn't know. That was all stuff that was
that was all happening during the transition.
In between trailers, they had those little dreams interstitials. Still no idea that's going on with that game. Neo 2 was a pretty sweet announcement.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Was not on the show floor. But
yeah, I'm not surprised. It looked
super
pretty early. Yeah.
What else? Control. I knew right away as soon as I started seeing gameplay mechanics. I'm like, this is the Remedy game.
That's a Remedy game?
You could just tell it. It just reeked of Alan Wake and Quantum Break.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I got a very good mind wrapped around that. Like I felt like it could really go one way or the other. Like it might be a really cool game, or it
looked pretty
kind of be another waffle, sort of like Quantum Break.
When they revealed Resident Evil 2, oh my god. I have been to a few press conferences now. I have never seen, like, I don't know how if it came over on the live stream at all, but I've never seen such an insane reaction to an announcement. Yeah, for sure. And Joel was just telling me part of it was nostalgia. It definitely was. That game's a dope game. But man, that place went insane. I also played Resident Evil 2 as well. And we'll talk about that. I think
a lot of people, man, they were like, I cannot believe how much pent up desire there is for that game.
It's an awesome game.
I mean, man,
it's pretty cool. Like that's the cool thing, in my opinion, is like for us at least, who've been around for a lot of generations. There are still a lot of really, really old games whose visions potentially weren't truly met because they're just limited by the old hardware they're on.
Yeah, the technology at the time wasn't able to do it. So it's pretty exciting that
we're going to get some of the greatest games made again to be even greater. I don't have a complaint. I don't have a complaint with that.
For me, did they keep the tank controls? Tell me they didn't keep the tank controls.
No.
Oh,
it
thank
plays
God.
like Resident Evil 7. At first, when they showed that trailer, I thought there was going to be some kind of VR component because they were showing like the view from the rat's eyes. And I'm like, oh man! But when I was asking Capcom, they wouldn't confirm or deny.
Yeah.
It'd be freaking sweet if they have a VR component for that. I don't see why they couldn't, but I guess it's not necessarily first person like RE7 was. So
yeah, maybe it's a little harder. I don't know.
They closed it out with the Spider-Man thing, right? Yeah. So they addressed everyone's concerns about worrying about whether there's more, like who the villains are.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't a concern.
I know,
of mine,
but a lot of people are complaining about that. They're like, who's people don't know who. I don't know. Is it Mr. Negative? Is that his name or?
Yeah, I
don't know.
I mean, I think that it's the way that they showed it at the trailer was that obviously Spider-Man figures out who he is, and it's somebody that you know who it is.
Yeah, and that's the big tease. But then you got your classics, right? Like Shocker and Scorpion.
But essentially, like the Sinister Six, right?
Yeah, it was pretty rad.
So
Fisk's name comes up.
When I saw the Resident Evil 2
comes up in the game, so I'm pretty sure the Kingpin's in there.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Like
at least
I feel like that might be the big reveal.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Could be.
So after the press conference was done, they basically had like a Manhattan-esque like backdrop in this open area outside. With I don't know how many demos of Spider-Man they had, but they had a lot of demo units of Spider-Man. So I just instantly beelined it over there to play it. And that's all they had. They didn't have any of the other games playable there, just Spider-Man.
Right.
They had all kinds of performers and street performers, and you can go into like they had like a Japanese garden where they were doing like different entertainment, and then they had like a Death Stranding corner and stuff. So
this sounds so much like the fucking Sony of old bullshit.
So it
like, hey, put a whole bunch of like press and media people in this room, only show them one video game that they can actually get hands on. And
well, it wasn't a room; it was outside.
Like,
it was
waste a whole bunch of their.
It was a big open set.
Yeah, but essentially waste a whole bunch of their time outside, like with stuff that's got nothing to do with any of your games. Like, I don't know. It feels very like they missed the mark there, big time.
It was the first thing I played at E3, and even after all the other stuff I played, it's probably one of the best games I played. I'm super hyped for it.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Spider-Man. It looks amazing.
I was concerned about how it controlled, but man, it was pretty sweet.
I'm concerned how it's going to run on a regular PS4.
Yeah,
not a Pro. That's
because clearly they demoed it on a Pro.
Oh yeah, they demoed everything on a Pro, and that kind of makes me like Ghost of Tsushima and stuff. I'm like, damn, like that game looks really fucking good. Like, is that
the screen?
How's that game?
I don't know.
Run?
The screen they were showing the stuff on too was giant, and it looked so good. It was pretty rad to see those demos on that screen. Everything they showed, I'm like in love with. Like content wise, A+. Delivery, say like a C. Like, definitely not Sony's best press conference. And
no,
I think
game wise, they look like games look like they're going to be great.
Game wise, it was a freaking AAA.
Yeah. They also announced From Software VR game Deracine coming from Software. Not really too much to go on outside of it's a VR game.
Oh, you just reminded me because you said From Software. Their new game that was unveiled in the Microsoft press conference.
Yeah,
literally Ninja Dark Souls.
I was actually really disappointed. I was really hoping that we were going to get another Tenchu game.
Everyone was reeking,
and this looks like a weird
Tenchu vibes. Someone said,
"Yeah, it does." It's Sekio: Shadows Die Twice.
Someone said it was hidden somewhere, from what I heard, it was just a theater demo.
Yeah, I don't know. It we'll see what happens. That's the new Activision published game. Sekio,
so clearly
Shadows Die Twice.
It's going to be multi-platform. I don't think they said that was Xbox only, right?
No, it was just world premiere.
World premiere. I love when they do that. It's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I really, really hope that it doesn't play like I don't know. I just worry like everything seems like it wants to go Dark Souls, and I don't have the time or the energy. Like, I love Neo, it's great, but like, holy shit, I've hit not a wall, but I've hit a spot in that game where like it's so time consuming. Like, I can play that game for fucking 2 hours and barely make it through like halfway through a level. Like, it's brutal. Yeah. I don't have time for those types of games. So when I see them like showing off this type of game, I'm like, this looks so much like a Tenchu game, which I absolutely loved. But if they're gonna like push the that Dark Souls style of like difficulty and whatnot, I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to get behind it. Which sucks. So, and
then obviously the Nintendo press conference was pretty dope. Apologies everyone if the background noise bothers you, but chilling at my homie Joel's house.
It felt like the Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, which if you're into Super Smash Brothers, yep.
Did you hear anything I just said?
Yeah,
kind of sounded like you just ignored me. I wasn't done talking. Sorry, I was just apologizing.
We already established you're not at home, so I just was like, okay, it's fine.
Like, it's his house. I don't want to tell him to stop making noise. So sorry if it bought.
You can't really hear him.
Oh, you couldn't? Oh,
not really.
Okay.
No,
well, never mind. Then it's just on my end.
The more you bring it up, the more that we'll be able to hear it. But it's just kind of a little bit of background noise that I didn't really
good then.
notice.
I thought it was really loud. He was just doing a bunch of stuff. So.
Nah.
But I don't want to be a rude guest because I'm a guest, and I'm just like, I'm not going to tell him to stop making noise. It's his house. I'm the one who's being rude recording a podcast in the middle of his living room.
Fair
in
enough.
my opinion, that's how I look at it. So Nintendo press conference, you're saying Smash Brothers Ultimate. So as we figured, it was going to be a deluxe version, which is, I think there's nothing wrong with that. Some people might be upset with that, but Smash Brothers is Smash Brothers. Like, they don't really need a new engine or a new anything, right?
I mean, they're saying that this was like built from the ground up as a whole new Smash Brothers game.
Did they? Did I miss that part?
They literally said Nintendo's latest entry in the long-running franchise has been built from the ground up.
It doesn't feel like
but it will have every single previous fighter from every single Smash Brothers game before it.
Okay, well, I missed that part. There was a part of the...
it's an all-new Smash Brothers game. I know, because that's what I said too initially. I was like, really? Like, is this new? Is this not?
There was a part of the direct that I had to go to the washroom, so I must have missed that part.
Yeah.
I played it
apparently
as
they
well.
said there's over 10,000 changes.
Jesus. Yeah, I know, as witnessed by their half hour of the whole direct being Smash Brothers, I guess. They had to highlight every little change they did. We changed the color of his shoelaces. They're now blue.
I know. So, GameCube controllers will work in Smash Brothers Ultimate on the Switch using the GameCube USB attachment thingy.
That was pretty sweet. So we know it's September. It was playable on the show floor, so a lot of people got their hands on that.
Yeah. They did like a whole thing. Obviously, they also announced Super Mario Party for the Switch. Seems fairly early with that still. They haven't really announced much. They talked a little bit more about Pokemon Let's Go and
changed the release
Pikachu
date
and
for
Eevee.
Smash Brothers? Oh, no, they never announced one. I just assumed... Did I say September? I assumed September. It's December. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was surprised with the announcement of all the characters. Like Snake, I was like, really? How did that happen?
Yeah. Cloud's coming back. Snake's coming back. Like, everybody.
Well, Cloud was in the last one.
Yeah, but I just mean
it's
like
surprising.
The fact that they got them to come back.
Usually you'd think they'd lose, but yeah, everyone's back. And I played as Ridley. The new 100% new character. I think what we'll do is we'll just stick to the podcast. This will be our mini press conference podcast, and I'll talk about all this stuff that I started playing on our next show, our regular show.
They did also announce that Octopath Traveler is coming out July 13th, and they're doing an updated demo, which is out now. If you're curious what that game sort of looked like,
carries over or something, or unlocks or something carries over.
I'm not sure if they said
something
anything
about that.
Yeah, it's possible, I guess. I don't know.
Fortnite.
If that game still has a battle system where it's random encounter, that will be the end of me wanting to play it. I
hate those.
I do. It's just a giant waste of time.
Fortnite was unsurprisingly announced and released. Surprise! I called it.
They went a little overboard with it.
But this seemed obvious. If it runs on an iPhone, which it's been on iPhones for months now, it could run on a Switch.
Yep. I know, right?
Man, I don't know why. The Fortnite booth at E3 was so big and so busy all the time. And it's just like...
It's the biggest game in the world right now, dude.
But it's like, why? Like, the game's out now, and it's free, and it's like... I don't know, that I might have missed something. Maybe they were giving away outfits.
Specifically just to cover Fortnite. There's people there that were at E3 that were there to specifically cover Fortnite.
That's just crazy. But they didn't.
Like, there was a couple people on the Giant Bomb at Night couch that one of them, at least for sure, was literally there. They were like, "Oh, what were you here for?" or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, I was literally my entire thing at E3 was just to check out."
Besides
Fortnite.
coming out on
cover
Switch,
Fortnite.
Were they giving away skins or something? Like, I don't understand why everyone was so rabid over Fortnite.
I don't know.
It's awesome. It's on Switch. I played
know.
it on Switch. I downloaded it the night we got back from the press conference, but just confusing. I think the most exciting thing for me was the Fire Emblem announcement in the Nintendo Direct. That's still a long ways away. That's probably not till next year. Boo.
I mean, we already knew it was coming,
but
we got a name, I guess,
and some gameplay.
Yeah,
I didn't recognize it as a Fire Emblem game right away. I'm like, what's this? Mario Party was revealed. People were pretty happy about that. Surprisingly enough, it wasn't at the show floor. Not playable
because I don't think it's coming out till next year.
People were asking me on Twitter via Discord if I could ask Nintendo if it's playable online, and they told me it was. As to what extent, I have no idea.
Interesting. That'll be a first,
that
right?
mech game, I think that is a first. I don't know about the Wii U because I didn't play it on Wii U.
Yeah, me neither.
Revealed some like mech game that looked kind of interesting. And then, most of it was
Damon, what is that? Damon X Machina?
And then the rest of it was mostly like ports or just, stuff that's on other consoles that are coming to Switch. Like Overcooked 2 and Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, they announced some DLC
I believe that Killer Queen Black was confirmed, that leak also, as well as being very accurate that we saw last week.
Yes. Yeah, that did also get announced.
And that's about it for the press conferences. The quality was all over the map. I think, what is it? The show, we obviously, I'll talk about E3 for a little bit, and I'm going to save all my hands-on stuff for Wednesdays, our regular scheduled episode. Mm-hmm. Sound like a good idea? I think it sounds good.
Sure.
Because I have a lot to talk about, but I'll talk about the show a little bit. This year, it was longer in terms of hours the show floor was open.
Right,
And they also included, for the first 2 days, 3 hours of industry and media-only access. I guess I'll talk about the security, too. Like, everyone was concerned about the security checkpoints. I never arrived... Well, no, we did. The last day we arrived early with the rest of the people. I really thought the security was going to be a huge cluster F.
But it wasn't too bad.
It was fine. It moved pretty fast. It was like going into Disneyland. Everything out of your pockets, throw it in the tray. They poke their head in your bag. You go through a metal detector. If it beeps, they scan you down. Which is, you know what? Good on them. I will complain about one thing. If you're going to go through the trouble of putting metal detectors and security checkpoints, there was no real security.
Once you're inside the show?
At the security... Well, there was no one there with weapons. There was no police officers or security guards with weapons. So it was a false sense of security because if someone wanted to do something bad, they still could have got in. Not that they've never had security. And now it raises the concern of whether is PAX going to now have security? But PAX has always been... at first I was kind of confused. I'm like, why are they adding security? And then someone was like, well, because the public's here now. It was fine when it was an industry event because it was harder to get into. Yep. But now that it's public, now you can have some wackadoos come in. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess so.
Yep.
But then that was the night before I was talking about it with someone. And then of course the day of I was thinking we're going to have hour lines to get in. I'm going to miss appointments because of security is a pain in the butt. And overall it was fine. But at the same time, there's this glaring omission of, if you're going to have metal detectors and security, I kind of think you need security. It was just like usher people. So if someone did have something, they had no means to react to it or stop it.
Interesting.
So
right.
Then it just is so what was the whole point? If I wanted to pull a Matrix and come in with a bag full of guns, there was no one there to stop me.
Well, I'm sure there's lots of people there, but...
they weren't there at the entrances. I'm sure there was someone somewhere, but, without someone there for immediate reaction, you're going to have disastrous results. So it's I just bring into questions okay, you had security, but what was the point of security? You know what I mean? It was there, but it was was pretty half-assed.
Yeah, but
I know. Isn't that weird?
It's honestly something I don't really think about, and it doesn't really affect me, seeing as I'm not.
I only think about it because like I was talking to someone, and it was a hot topic at the PlayStation conference because everyone was worried about security the next day because there was no media lineup or there's no special entrances, so everyone was concerned like, man, this is going to be a mess, and
That's strange because I literally heard on a podcast somebody was talking about how they loved the fact that they had a separate entrance for media and exhibitors.
There was no
and that it was great that they didn't have to wait in all the lines.
There was no separate entrance. They just, not that I know of, as far as I know, if I wanted the map, I even asked the event people. They said there was no separate entrance. They did queue all the
things that people were talking about, saying like, yeah, it was great this year that they separated it because that means that we didn't have to like get stuck in the giant. Yeah, so I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe there is a VIP entrance. There is VIP. You could buy VIP badges to E3, and there is a VIP entrance. So maybe media could have taken advantage of that, and I wasn't aware of it. But like, it wasn't bad. Like there was, you queued up at the escalators like every other E3, even if you did have a different side entrance into the main convention center. Once you're in there, you're not on the show floor. You're sitting at the barriers waiting for them to open, and then everyone rushes through the doors and at that big, the big E3 sign that everyone's posted a million photos and videos at, right? So we went in through the parkade. There was never a lineup. We went through this far side of the parkade where there was never a lineup. So I just thought the reason I bring it up is because the person we were talking about is, I think it's they were all for security, and they brought up the fact they're like, well, we're in the U.S. This is where mass shootings happen. So then that's why I was thinking, it's like, well, okay, you had security, but you had no security guards. You know what I mean?
Anyway, I guess.
Going off on a tangent. It didn't screw up my plans.
I was going to say,
no one got hurt.
Ultimately, as long as nobody gets hurt,
it didn't.
I don't know. Like, as a Canadian,
I know it's so foreign to think.
Security is the last thing I think about.
I don't think about that stuff either.
Because I just don't think people are fucking.
I don't think about that stuff either until someone who actually lives there brings it up and reminds me that this shit happens all the time. And then I'm blown away. Like, God damn it, you're fucking right. I'm like, I don't think like that.
It sounds like they were, in fact, like they did have security checkpoints and they did have metal detectors and they were checking people. So, I mean, to me, it sounds like they were making sure that people weren't bringing weapons.
I just bring up the huge weakness is that they had all this stuff, but I didn't see a single security person. Like, real security. Like, when you go to the airport, there's people that can react.
Yeah, because they have an entire police force dedicated to being at the airport.
So,
different, right?
They didn't have anything like that, so I thought it was good. But I think there were some glaring omissions. Obviously, it's a work in progress. The 3 hours. Let's move along. It's fucking security and stupid people. Moving along though, the 3 hours in the morning was very nice. Each of the 2 mornings, it was less crowded. You were able to. You didn't have to run, except for everyone ran to Nintendo every time, which I didn't because I had an appointment with Nintendo.
Right.
But I just walked up to Capcom, played Resident Evil 2, walked up to the Namco Bandai booth, which I didn't have an appointment with, played everything they had there with no lineup. It was really easy. It was less crowded, and it was immediately noticeable once everyone else came in. Like, it got super crowded, and the only crappy thing is that I heard for some of the people with gamer passes was that some of the lineups were capped by the time they got in immediately, and or the merch, like some of the limited edition merch, was already bought up by industry and media, which would be a huge.
That's kind of shitty. I don't know. I mean, I have such a two thoughts about it because the show was designed. Obviously,
it's a trade. It was a trade show for industry and media.
Yeah, and now they've opened it up to the public. But at the same time, they're charging a lot of money to get in there. So it's a weird.
In my opinion, if you're charging people for money and you got the public in there, I think you need to make a better effort to make their show better. Because let's be honest, the industry and the media people, besides the exhibitors, most of them don't pay to get in. Like my badge is free.
It's true.
Industry badge, which isn't hard to get if you're like even loosely related to the video game industry, you get in for free. You know?
Yeah.
So the people that are paying, you should make a real effort, in my opinion, to make sure their show is amazing.
Yeah, I agree. It's also like, anyways.
It did seem a little lighter on the show floor with titles. I had an amazing show. Like, I don't know if you saw some of my photos or posts. Like, I ran into a lot of cool people. Made some awesome connections, which is what E3 is all about. Like, I had my best E3 ever. Some people from the outside might just criticize it for maybe, there wasn't 200 games. There was only 150 at this E3 and whatnot, right?
Right.
But it was one of the best E3s I've been to, partly because of the stuff that transpired, the people I met, and the connections I made. And, of course, all the games I got to play, new games that I got to play that I didn't expect to play. And then, of course, like, getting to see stuff like being on the ground floor and getting to see like Cyberpunk.
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
Oh my god.
Especially seeing as like I said, they're not showing any, nobody else gets to see gameplay of that game.
So no one said anything about NDA. So this is going to be the last thing I talk about today. Since I didn't play it, I'm going to talk about Cyberpunk. So give some good hidden treasure for this episode here. Bonus value add, special DLC content. It was the last thing we saw.
Okay.
And probably the best thing we saw. It was an hour-long demo of gameplay by the devs, real time. It was in a little theater room, which was kind of cool. It also it was kind of funny that we had a couple celebrities in our room. We had Anderson Silva from the UFC fighter, cool. And we had the actor who plays Connor from Detroit. Brian Deckert was there as well, which is kind of funny because he was cosplayed up as Android. I don't know if you saw my photo of him in the booth, but yeah, he looks identical. Like I was saying about Detroit last week, the actors that play those main characters, they're so lifelike in the game. It's just the real person. So he snuck in.
Yeah.
I think Anderson Silva snuck in as well. And it was an hour-long gameplay. And my biggest question is going in, and I was like ignoring anything. All I ever heard was, you have to go see this.
Right.
But I didn't know what kind of game it was. I assumed it was like The Witcher. I'm like, it's going to be a sci-fi third-person RPG, open-world RPG. It's a first-person open-world cyberpunk future RPG.
I know.
I didn't think it was going to be first-person, but that's fine. There's vehicles. There's driving. Man, there was so much stuff shown in this trailer. I don't think I'm going to mention it all. They have a new... they don't have a real rigid class system. They call it it's a fluid class system. You can change your class like anytime you want. Your build, your augments. A big part of the game is augmenting your character's cybernetic implants. In the demo, they opened up with like a little kind of rescue mission retrieval. And seemed pretty typical, first-person shooter. They didn't go into a lot of abilities. They showed like a bullet time kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
And anyway, that scene all played out. And you go back to your place. You get your rewards, whatever. New day, new mission. You get some hooks to go on your next mission. There's dialogue trees that affect how things will play out. You've got the ability to like go peaceful or non-violent. during any kind of interactions with people. I did.
Yeah.
Developers were saying your decisions have
Oh yeah.
consequences.
So Joel's just talking to me, like all the decisions, like I was saying with this decision trees in your conversations, everything has a consequence. So from that first mission, I can't remember what that group was called that we went and instigated the rescue mission with. As we were starting, the devs were starting the second quest, they showed up to attack us as retaliation for what we did in that first little mission.
Oh, wow.
Had we not gone that route, or gone a peaceful route, like they were using that as an example, as like, because we went violent here, there was these consequences here. Going peaceful here will have consequences here. So it's like Witcher 3, which that happened a lot in Witcher 3. Like our stories were very different. Like even between me and you, I had people that were alive and you had people that were dead, right? So I feel like a lot of that, they stressed that a lot of the lessons in gameplay loop, that stuff that they came up with Witcher 3 is here, albeit a first-person game.
That's cool.
Graphically,
that's awesome.
It looked...
I won't lie, when I found out it was first-person,
just because you liked Witcher 3 so much,
thrilled.
You were hoping it would be more like that?
Yeah, and there's certain things in that type of game that I like better as third person. I think so. It was kind of brutal because I found out it was first person. Like the whole thing was going to be first person, and that actually kind of bummed me out a bit. I was like, I'm still super excited about it.
Dude,
and I think it's still probably going to be amazing.
At first, I thought I was going to be like, I honestly, when the trailer started and they showed the first person perspective, I'm like, I don't know. But then once they started playing and showing the abilities and like all the different stuff you can do, I'm like, I'm on board.
Part of it
I'm
is
sold. This,
and I mean, part of it I think is maybe like other first-person RPGs. Take Fallout for example. I think are terrible. Like I like the shooting feels awful.
I don't think
the way the abilities work. Like it's because it's not a first person shooter at that point. It's a first person RPG, and like that's the stuff.
Well,
so I mean, I feel like if they get that stuff right,
shooter RPG,
right?
They stress that. So I think that kind of addresses
good,
like I know what you're saying. Like Fallout is first person.
You're standing in front of a guy game, like with a gun up to his head, and you're somehow missing because it's a fucking RPG, and there's the like dice rolls that are happening on the back end that you know what I mean, and it makes the shooting.
There was
feel
numbers
terrible.
and health bars on this one, so
right.
Oh man, it looks freaking. The worst part of it all is that we're gonna have to wait another 3 or 4 years for this game.
Yeah, you think it's that far away?
When I saw Witcher 3 in 2013, it didn't come out for another 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
When I saw Witcher 3 at E3 2013, that was its coming out party, right?
Yeah, I forgot that was, in fact, the case. That's true.
I don't know what else to say because I don't want to spoil everything in there. It's going to come out. I'm sure they're going to release a trailer at some point, maybe a couple weeks removed.
Yeah, maybe. Hard to say.
They showed so much. They showed the augmenting system, though, it all be an alpha, right? How you go to a Ripper doctor and then you get your augments and stuff. Like I'm not sure if that's exactly what they call it, but like in the demo, she like got like a new like eyeball, like cyber eyeball that gave her like different visual tracking abilities on her screen and a zoom.
Oh, sweet.
Which was kind of neat. And it also identified like characters in the game and would like give you information about them, or almost like a built-in like a detective mode vision.
Yeah.
And then she also got like a grip built into her hand, which allowed her to hack different weapons, because obviously in the future weapons have like weapon locks. So if you didn't have that mod, you wouldn't be able to pick up random guns and use them.
Oh, anybody else's weapons? Yeah.
But it also had like
that's
boosts to different stats, like damage and so forth. There was a lot of stuff they went over in terms of all the systems. Of course, it's all super alpha, so stuff's going to change. There was obviously no photos, no videos, so That's probably why they haven't released anything, because they're obviously cooking up a trailer.
Yeah, and it's probably maybe also they don't want to necessarily show it off and have it out there so that everybody can go back and go like, you said this was coming.
Yeah.
They
don't want to get
work
like nailed to the wall for showing something that doesn't come to the final game. The open world, though, oh my god, it is so dense. Like, vertically dense, because you're in these futuristic cities. And honestly, I didn't think you'd be able to drive. I thought it was just going to be a first-person open-world shooter, and when you were able to drive, I'm like, holy crap. So that means there's some size to this game. There's even car combat.
Wow. That's pretty dope.
It looks like you can also get assist bots as well that you control remotely. That was a big part of the mission.
Cyberpunk
that was a big part of
the
mission, was that we were recovering this bot for the corporate. Can't remember what they're called. Corp Tech or Corp. Basically, there's like a corporate entity. Everything in the future is very corporation. For example, life insurance in the future. Basically, you can be so rich that you have a response team that comes and rescues you or gets you if you're in medical distress.
Oh,
and they're basically cool. Like a military extraction team. Like that was part of the rescue mission when we
rip you out of there, and
when we
awesome.
rescued the first person, the girl in the first mission area. Basically, she had this service, but the people who had taken her for parts, because that's a huge thing in the future, is harvesting augments from people, like getting kidnapped and they rip your stuff out and sell it on the black market. So they had her response team chip like blocked, so she couldn't call for help. So I guess that's a big thing in the future. You get kidnapped, they freaking turn off your tracker, and then they can't extract you and save you. So anyway, we jacked into her and repaired it, and then this like ship flies in, and you've got like this super heavily loaded medical team, like armed medical team, comes in and takes her from us, and they're awesome. Threatening to kill us, like, because even though we had just finished like being paid to rescue her. That was pretty crazy.
Huh. Wow. That's
it was
cool.
an awesome demo. For being like a known quantity, a first-person shooter, all this new stuff that they had shown from weapons, and I'm not going to go into depth with some of this stuff because I want people to be surprised. I'm talking a lot of generalities here, because there's some cool new stuff I haven't seen in a first-person shooter, which you would think would be like done by now. Maybe it's a little more unique because it's the RPG elements of it. Mm-hmm. I'm super stoked. I can't wait for that game. And that is the worst part of this E3, is that game is going to be so far out.
Yeah, and we'll probably see it again next E3.
And the one after that. And the one after that.
And we'll probably find out that it's coming out on next-gen consoles.
No,
it won't be coming out.
They were playing it on a PC, so they did launch it from a desktop.
Yeah,
they did launch it from a desktop. I saw that much.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? PC, You're developing it on PC.
To be honest, it looked really good. Like, graphically, it looked really good. But I didn't see anything that screamed to me that this can't run on a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X. Like, it wasn't like, oh my god, this is like fully rendered insane graphics. Like, it looked really, really good, and it's a beautiful game with so many layers of detail going on. But I wasn't like, like you alluded to, I don't think this is going to be like a next gen. It'll be on the next gen consoles for sure. But I don't see anything that makes it not able to run on the existing stuff.
I'm just wondering if like all of the systems in the background, though, will require more, like not necessarily graphically won't be able to run, but I'm wondering if like AI and just stuff, just stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that was another thing that they like talked about. The dev was like, everything that exists in this world exists for a reason. We don't just put stuff in the world for just putting it
just
there.
Because
it's like, if you can go places, it exists for a reason.
Which, I mean, to keep track of all of that and everything else is like, you know, you got to have the power and the memory and the processing, you know what I mean? Like, so it'll be interesting.
I will post photos and videos when I get home. I got tons. But I think, cool. Dane, this is our little mini E3 Part 1 episode. We'll get to the 26 plus games that I played starting next week.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You can follow me on Twitter at RickF, no K, RICF.
You can come hang out with me on Twitter at Dane Cody. I've also been streaming a bit recently. You can find me on Twitch and Mixer. Yeah, at Dane Cody as well. So if you're interested in any of that,
we'll have to talk about that. I'm gonna get that set up. That looked really cool. Your stream looked really good, and I like the overlays and stuff.
Yeah. I've been messing around with some more of that. I'm finding, unfortunately, some of these newer games. I'm finding the limits of my rig.
Well, good thing you're piecing together a new PC.
Like I know I'm working on it. It's, you know, money doesn't grow on trees for some of us. So yeah, I know it's, but it's definitely like, I'll talk more about that vampire game. I got a lot of things to talk about with that. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, I won't, like I said, I won't dive into that right now, but man, that's...
If you're one of the many cool new people I met at E3 and you came here because of our little chats, thanks for giving us a shot. Hopefully you continue subscribing and listening. And if you could leave us a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, that would be great. That applies to everyone. Those reviews always help because obviously since we've been pushing for that, our numbers have gone up a bit, which is great. And obviously you can find us at all the social media. We're Geekoholics everywhere at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I posted some stuff there I saw that. When I had Wi-Fi.
Definitely cool.
I'll talk more about some of the stories of E3 next episode as well. Again, we're kind of time constrained.
Much more E3.
This is a mini episode. But obviously this is all possible due to Joel being super awesome. Let me crash at his place, picking me up at the airport, driving me around, and...
So what you're saying is Joel's the real MVP here.
None of this would be possible without him letting me stay at his place and putting up with my annoying ass on his couch.
Sweet.
And of course, he gets to see a lot of cool stuff too. So everyone wins.
Awesome.
Yeah. Joel's in the background here saying it was more than a fair trade. I hope so. Definitely wouldn't have been possible without his help. So yeah, until next week, I'm going to say we are out.
Catch you guys next week.
Peace.